He plays for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Right.
And he's got a podcast called The Come Up Podcast, which is the one that was on my Instagram.
Yes.
And he's been around podcasting for a long time and is actually the one that got me into podcasting. I haven't like done it like this.
Right.
But I have one.
What's his numbers like? What are our numbers like?
Our
But
numbers
he was saying it's really difficult.
Pretty good.
Are pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, we looked at
pretty
them
good
like
from
last
where we see. The thing is that I don't make a habit looking at our numbers. I
Yeah,
just
fair enough. Yeah, yeah.
crank out content. We just crank out the content. We put it out there, and then not really worry too much about who's listening. We're just trying to do the best way we
Best
can.
content as
And then
possible.
every once in a while,
like it.
we have now we have a business manager. So like she was like, hey. I need this. I need the stats. I need this. I need that. I'm like, okay, this is the first time I'm diving in. I really hope it's not like it hasn't plummeted since the last time I checked.
I will say this always like shocks me that like there's like hundreds of people listening. And
That's
I know,
awesome.
Yeah, it is weird though. I'm like, and some of them are like in other countries. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
It's really interesting. It's the same thing with like music. You get
I don't
you
know
start
about
doing
that.
it and then you're like, no, I mean content.
I feel like music has a lot like broader.
Okay, that being said,
No, but like-
don't sell us too short. There was
We talk about Mississauga a fair bit. It's
Hold
just
on a
like
second, hold on a
somebody in
second.
Germany.
There was a month in 2017 where we were doing well in Somalia.
Yeah, that's right.
So sick.
I'm saying about 20 listens from Somalia. So I don't know if it's one person that listened to 20 or it was a bunch of people.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I was
It
just
doesn't
like, we were
matter.
resonating with them pirates. And it made me feel great.
So that's awesome.
I was wondering
In the
if-
sense of content, though, it's the same thing with music. Like a lot of the time now, because music comes out so fast.
Yeah.
At least, in general, music comes out pretty fast. That a big part of it, one avenue of it, is like content.
Yeah.
You just pump out content, but then like the quality goes down. Usually.
Well,
So it's cool that you're like just focused on the quality and the content. You have like a business manager.
Is that how it is for like most young artists? Like at one point, you're just releasing mixtape on mixtape, and once you get to a certain level, it's like, all right, we're gonna release an album once every 3 years.
I feel like it completely depends on one, the genre you're in, and then two, like the type of music you make in general.
gotcha.
So like for instance, if you want to talk about like a Coldplay or a John Mayer,
Okay.
or
I love John Mayer.
yeah,
We could talk about John
or
Mayer.
like
we can slow dance in the burning room.
yeah, man.
Come on now.
Room for
That was
That'd be the whole
that was-
podcast.
That was my breakup soundtrack
Oh, yeah.
for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then I
like-
realized just feeding that darkness is not good. So I started listening to Linkin Park.
So you slowly move to Linkin Park.
Yeah.
At that, even Linkin Park.
Yeah.
You look at these guys, and then like that slow dancing in a burning room was on Continuum. And like, how long was it till after you did Battle Studies?
It's like
4
5
years.
years.
5
4
years.
Yeah.
But if you listen to the quality of that
Continuum is
album,
amazing.
like every single lyric, every single riff, everything's
I mean, I really
Fantastic.
resonated to continue.
Mine was Vultures.
that's everybody's favorite, right?
Yeah.
But like,
No, Room for Squares is his best
oh
album.
yeah, that true. I always forget
Yeah.
about Room for Squares.
This guy,
But somebody like John,
he was looking
You know
at me
what's
like,
funny?
after we will fight.
we're throwing down.
I thought we were talking about
To
hip hop
John
at the
Mayer.
beginning,
Yeah.
literally like mixtapes and whatnot, and then
yeah.
we were like, "Continuum is his best album by far."
We're like 30 seconds
Yeah.
in.
I've cried to that. Have you cried to that?
But what's funny is that type of music. It takes a lot longer to do, and you can tell. Like there's a lot more into it. There's a lot more behind it. I would say, and being based in lyrics, I appreciate that more. But then you go to somebody like even like a Drake, and it's pretty straightforward music.
Yeah.
He also has a fair bit of ghostwriters.
I
Some
would say so.
Some say he has a
And
fair bit.
That's another topic we can talk about, because
Yeah.
I think as a rapper too, I have a very different perspective on ghostwriters than the average rapper. But anyways, Drake is like,
I don't even know
he
any
just
average
pumps
rappers,
out,
bro.
like he just pumps out tracks when he puts out. Like
Yeah.
it just, and
they're
then
good though.
and they're good.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, he can write a great hook.
Yeah.
The lyrics, for more or less, are almost the same.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The beats are more or less similar.
Uh-huh.
Right. And
I
For
feel like
the-
he's
for the
got like
most
an
part.
old and a new.
yeah,
Drake's got a,
But it's
he's
still
got a
all-
very
it's-
distinct
but
like
it's still
old
very
Drake
pop.
sound, and then after new Drake sound,
Exactly.
which is kind of like infused with a little bit of like Caribbean vibes now and things like that.
And
then
he's
he has
got
like
the
this,
producers that can bang out tracks like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
crazy. And then there's like and the mumble rappers and whatever, they're putting out tracks like weekly.
yeah, SoundCloud.
You're just humming.
A SoundCloud rapper, they're
rappers, yeah.
dropping tracks. But if you listen to the content that they're putting out, it's very different.
Mm-hmm.
And hip hop tends to be a lot more like looped beats,
Right.
The drums are kind of looped. Like John Mayer's got to get drummers to play his part, and then he's got to lay the guitar, and then you got basses coming in.
Yeah. I also feel like
So
he needs
it takes longer, but there's a different. And then some guys pump out tracks like crazy, and they're quality, and you're like, how is this guy doing this? But
There's
yeah,
there's also an
different.
interesting thing in the fact that like there's some artists out there that are it's a brand, right?
Yeah.
Drake is
Exactly.
selling a lifestyle, even though you don't know you're buying in, but
Yeah.
like
and you can't afford it.
exactly you can't afford it.
But you're living.
But that's what it is though. That's the greatest thing about it is the fact that like it's something that you can get a piece of. A little
Yeah.
bit. That's why people. That's chasing Supreme or any of those like big companies. I mean, those companies right now that are like really, really, really niche and really, really, really expensive to get. But if you just touch a little piece of it, you get greatness. It's almost like that's what you get with Drake. It's very well. I mean, I feel like there's some thought from like Champagne Papi, the way how he like presents himself is that type
He's
of thing.
definitely different because you can tell there's a huge thought process and planning
Yes.
process, and that's why it's hard to put him in like a mumble rap content like quantity wise.
Yeah. Mhm.
Because when he puts out, it's usually pretty good quality.
Yeah.
As much as like I don't necessarily care for the life he's portraying and the message he's giving or whatever. I'm the type of person that's like I can't knock on him because he's doing what he does best.
Right.
If you want to talk about Drake, he likes money,
Yeah.
girls, music,
Yep.
and what does he have?
He has all of those.
He's
all
got
those
all of
things.
them,
All
right?
of those things,
And
yeah.
like if
I
so,
respect-
good for him, right? If that's
Yeah,
what you're
yeah.
doing and you're doing it like he does it well.
Yeah.
So he's a weird one to talk about too because he's like at the top of the industry.
True.
So it's
but-
always different.
Okay, so
with those
what I wanted to
guys.
do was contrast that
Anyways,
with Logic, for example. See, because
Yeah.
because Logic, also super self-aware, and the fact that like he had that one album that was very woke, and then immediately after that, or very close after that, it releases what is it called? Young Sinatra 5 or. The newest Young
Yeah,
Sinatra, which is amazing. No, before that he did that Rick and Morty thing. Oh shit, which one is it? I'm blanking on the thing. But nonetheless, the thing is that like not only does he's got 3 different personas, and he's able to release an album for each persona very quickly in quick succession. Like in 1 year, he released I think 2, one major and then another one that was a little smaller, completely different sound. And then he also streams. He does like Twitch streams. For his album release for Young Sinatra, the most recent Young Sinatra, he had this thing where he flew in.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, like 50 of his most favorite. I mean, of his biggest fans.
fans,
Yeah,
yeah.
biggest fans, and they all came in and did like sort of like a Sinatra night. So everyone wore
classy,
like really classy clothes.
He
and
was
things
on like a
that.
grand piano.
Yeah, and it
playing
was
this song.
a listening party at his crib, I think, or like whatever. It doesn't matter, but that's a different type of selling, and and the thing is that it almost feels like you're rewarded for being his fan. You're rewarded for being interacting with him because you might be able to get you might be able to get a piece of that. And even in the most recent album, the first 3 minutes was just people calling from around the world saying, hello Logic, I really like his music, whatever. And they like from like Mozambique and in Palestine and like Spain, it was all over the place. It was crazy.
And he's one of those guys that I say are kind of weird because he puts out so much content.
Yeah.
But I was like 8 out of 10 times it's high quality stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and it's
Like it's good stuff that
I
he's
don't
putting
think
out.
really, and that's something that I
Bobby
feel like,
Tarantino. I'm sorry.
But that's what it was. I know it was
Bobby
Bobby
Tarantino.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bobby Tarantino. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's cool. I actually haven't heard all of that one.
It just
man.
that's the most recent one, right?
Really?
Bobby
Sometimes.
Tarantino.
Yeah.
No. It was
No.
yeah.
Young Sinatra. Young Sinatra was the most recent one.
What's really funny is I follow Logic for like his marketing and like I see what he's doing all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I think I've listened to like 3 of his songs.
Yeah.
I don't actually listen to him.
Boy.
I don't know why. I
it's
listen to his stuff and I'm like, oh, this guy's sick.
Yeah.
And then I just don't listen to it.
It's also very interesting that you'll get to his like big songs and they'll have over 200 million listens, and then the other stuff is like 20 million to 40 million. It's very interesting.
his like unsuccessful stuff.
Yeah.
He's like 25 million.
Super successful.
It's interesting how like everybody adapts to what they have to do from social media and Twitch, and like what do you have to take over next to get your music out there is
Yeah.
changed so much. Where at one point releasing mixtapes period was what you had to do. Like that's how you kind of showed your grind.
I guess
age of 50
that's where we
Cent?
started too. Yeah, that's I think that's where
Lil
we started
Wayne,
too.
yeah.
Like the mixtape thing. Yeah, it's if you're in hip hop, mixtapes are a big thing. I guess.
Is it still?
I don't think so.
No.
What's interesting is I don't even feel, to be honest, even though I'm a rapper, I don't think I'm a good person to ask about hip hop music culture because I don't actually make hip hop music. I don't know if you guys know that.
Well,
so I do like I like you
do
saw
you
it.
know that you do kind of?
I do like I do, but if you look at like you saw the show
Right.
on the in
Yeah,
December
great
on the
show.
21st, it was like all my stuff is like live instrument based.
Yeah.
And I actually follow the process in making that music that's much closer to like a Coldplay and Imagine Dragons and a live band.
You stated stadium hip hop.
Yeah, that's the closest thing I could say.
How would you say
get
the
it
process
close,
is
but-
different from like like a conventional let's say rock band compared to hip hop? Where is it a lot more music driven in terms of here's what we're thinking from the music, the beats, the perspective, and this is hip hop, while what you're talking about in rock is it like how is it different, the creation process?
So in general, because nowadays you can do anything. Like you can get guitar strums in the DAW you're working on and it sounds completely real. You can get like patches for mics to make them sound like a different mic, like a more expensive mic, and they're unbelievable. They're expensive, but it's way cheaper than buying that like $3,000 Neumann mic. So nowadays I would say it ranges depending on the person, but in general, in hip hop, there tends to be like you'll notice there's sometimes a lot of producers on one album, right? So Drake will get a beat from Boy Wonder, he'll grab one from T Minus, like Timbaland will be on one, 40 will be on the other one, 40 will executive produce. So hip hop tends to be a lot about the beat and then the writing, the rap. So you could get an entire beat in one night, in one sitting from like Boy Wonder in the studio because everything is digital.
Yeah.
For the most part. Now, if you go to like a Wale or somebody, he's got live instruments, but in general, if you separated hip hop and rock, hip hop is much more digital, so things are done faster, which is why Drake, you see albums of like 17, 18, 19, 25 tracks, and they do it in like 6 months. But a majority of that is digital, and you jump in the booth and you rap, and if you're a veteran or you're dope and like a Jay-Z, you hit that in the first shot. And you get in the booth and and you're done, right? And then the track goes to mixing and mastering and it's done. Now you want to go to put out mixtapes, right? You get, I like that beat, you buy it off that person. I like that beat, buy it off that guy. This producer made it, and you just take them, collect, write, and record. Now in hip hop and in rock, let's just quote unquote rock, anything instrument based, it tends to be a lot of those rock bands, at least early on, they would do live performances much more than they would be in the studio. So hip hop kind of starts in the studio nowadays. We're not talking about ciphers, we're not talking about anything like that, but hip hop tends to start in the studio. There's a producer and he's sitting in the studio, like at this computer right here. You start playing a beat on the MPC pad or whatever, and then the writer, the rapper goes, I like that. Can we throw a hi-hat in? And then they just feel it, and then he writes it down, and then they can jump in the booth. Now, rock, they tend to be a group, right?
So you're jamming a lot more.
You're talking about a vocalist, a guitarist. So they're doing the same thing. Like, I like that riff. Keep playing that. The drum, like take the kick out, and they keep playing. But they're doing it live most of the time. So their live performance is going to be dope. And then they're ready to go on a live stage. But to get all 5 people in that band into the studio is way more money, way more time, which equals way more money. So you got to get the guitarist to go in and record, etc.
Gotcha.
So what I noticed early on, at least, was rock bands, you tend not to hear about their music or you're not able to find it anywhere, but you'll hear about them coming up and they'll be playing at this show and they'll get this stage. If you want like Alt J, do you guys know Alt J?
Yeah.
So they played Glastonbury, which is like
huge,
one of the biggest stages. And I never heard their music before there, and it was online, it was everywhere, but
Right.
they were much bigger in like a live scene from what I could see in like a live scene, but like a hip hop artist, the first thing you find is a mixtape. Oh, this guy's 5 mixtapes. It's like,
Yeah.
but you got to go maybe catch a rock band live more so. And then when they get a deal because they're so good, now somebody pays for them to go into the studio because it's so
Right.
expensive, right? Again, nowadays you can make a basement studio really quick and get decent quality.
Yeah.
So maybe it is like when I first started making music, it was me and one other person and we sounded like a band,
Right.
but it's 2 guys.
P.O.P. Right?
Huh?
Was that what it was called? What was the band called?
That was Pop Culture.
Pop
The
Culture.
The band was called Gem.
Gem. G. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the G. I remember that.
Yeah. So
Ripped it off the internet. Yeah.
when I dropped Pop Culture,
Yeah, I
it's
remember
2011. But yeah, does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
So like the process is different
You know
in
what's
that way.
funny? I came and watched you guys perform once. It was like at like a Muslim festival or something. I'm like,
Is that Riz?
Yeah, with the Riz
Yeah.
in the corner. I was like, oh, dude, I've been listening to these guys.
That was the
Anyways.
first time I ever.
Yeah.
I like the young artist stage. in the
Yeah,
corner.
it was really cool. It was really cool for me.
So he's talking about a song, like the first song.
Yeah.
I ever
I don't think
put
you
out.
even knew me, and I was probably the only like fan of them. Like, can't wait for this song to come on. It's happening.
I knew Omer.
Yeah.
That's why,
No, fun times, alhamdulillah.
but yeah, what's weird about me is that I actually, when I started rapping, it was hip hop, and then I realized I wasn't really feeling it. I used to write a lot of poetry.
Yeah.
Studied a lot of like English and literature, and I wrote a lot of poetry. So I wasn't able to translate that poetry with like the emotion I put behind it when I wrote it into hip hop beats. For me, they seemed a little too repetitive. I couldn't go anywhere with the emotion. And I actually, like She Will Be Loved,
Yeah.
Maroon 5. I was actually listening to that in the car one day, and I started rapping to it. And that's when I was like, wow, this is what I want to rap to. Like I was able to write on it more. I was able to rap to it easier. And then I was like, I got to find producers that make Maroon 5 beats. Like, and that's where I learned this whole thing. Like, no, you got to get a guitarist, or you got to get a pianist,
Yeah.
or
And
you
that
have to be one.
That must be its own process trying to find the person with the right
Exactly.
sound.
Exactly.
They're like, hey, have you heard Maroon 5? What do you think?
Can
Good?
you digit? And at that time, the DAWs for the programs to make the production programs weren't as advanced.
Oh,
So
I can
you're not
imagine.
gonna like.
Jeez.
There was no guitar riff that sounded real. It sounded like a plastic toy because you use it to make demos. Yeah, and then you
Right.
record.
Amazing.
So I ended up realizing that I feel better and I write better on like acoustic guitar and acoustic instruments, which is why a lot of my stuff is acoustic driven. So that's why I say I don't think I'm the right person necessarily to ask about like a hip hop culture and things. Because if you
Right.
come to my sessions,
Right.
yeah, there's some hip hop culture in it. But again, nowadays everything kind of crosses over.
Right.
But the way I start a song is it's me and a guitarist, or it's me and a pianist, and we're just working on chord progressions. A big thing in hip hop too is that they don't necessarily use like a 4-chord progression,
Right.
like you would hear in a Coldplay.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they use 2 sometimes. That's a different issue for me, but because they're
They're like,
so
this-
good, but they
this
only use
music's
2
too
chords.
simple. Why are
But
they
it's
limiting
so
themselves?
good. But anyways, hip hop, it doesn't always tend to be that way, right? The bass drives it and the drums drive it, which is why Drake kind of can do what he does because he does follow chord progressions, right? And now all of a sudden you can get the singing and you can get more emotion and more melody, right? Hip hop doesn't care about necessarily, if you're talking about like old school hip hop, I don't care about melody. They're trying to rap on a hard beat, right? Trying to say what they have to say. So I spend a lot of time on the chord progression, like each chord and what comes after the next one. And do you go minor from that one or do you go major from that one? And is it like I spend a lot of time on that,
I got you.
and the drums are tertiary to me. not
Wow,
not
not
even
even
primary,
secondary.
I like
not
how,
even
like,
secondary.
I like that
See,
you
that's-
have a drummer and you know he might listen to this and you're like, fuck that guy, just in case he listens so he
I don't even
knows.
care.
He's an act.
Shout out to Taboo. Taboo.
Afterthought at this
Does he have a
point.
nickname like Slash? His name's Taboo?
His name's Taboo.
That's pretty cool.
At
Damn.
Taboo, Taabu.
Shout out to Taboo.
Shout out to Taboo.
He's a story in himself, man. He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Um,
I follow the guy on Instagram. Like
he's
his live
unbelievable.
drumming videos will come. I'll just watch them. And just be like,
And you saw him live, man. He is
yeah.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah,
I
that
can't
guy's
say enough
gifted.
about him.
He's special. Even when there's nothing drumming,
Yeah.
he'll just drumming air.
He's like,
it's time to drum. But it's a silent part where like somebody's just singing
Right.
or something.
But he's got to keep. He's got to keep
like,
the
there's a
sticks
rhythm
warm.
in my head. Yeah.
He puts on a show.
Yeah.
I was we were doing a show before, and it was like what we did at that show. So we'll run a backing track, but he'll trigger it and then he'll play the drums. And then all the guitars and everything are in the backing track and I'm just doing the vocals.
Right.
We're doing a show and this part of the song I'm doing is kind of quiet. So I'm just doing my thing. And I see everybody in the front row just kind of like looking up. And then somebody's like pointing with their mouth open. I was like, what the hell is... And I can't like turn around because I'm in the mic.
Yeah.
So then I turn around when the chorus drops.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there drumming. I was like, okay, whatever. I kept going. I saw a video after when there was no drums. This guy stood up on the stool and like dropped down into his chair on the beat and like hit the cymbals.
Oh, wow.
And kept going. So people were like, oh my God.
Did they know that he was
I
gonna
had
do
no
that?
idea. No.
He was just
I didn't even know he was going to do that.
He's standing on the stool,
We
just
rehearsed
waiting.
for like 3 weeks. I didn't know he was going to do that.
That's awesome.
But it's amazing to play.
You know what is
Performer.
great is that what if he was at home? He was practicing that on by himself, just at home, just like this
The
is where you
timing
let
is
go,
like-
just so that you can do it perfectly. I'm gonna.
I used to go to a lot of rock shows, and that's the way I judge a band is like how good the drummer is.
100%.
I'm like, that's how good the band is.
100%.
Yeah.
The first thing I knew, I mean, alhamdulillah, I got really lucky or like really blessed when I found him as the new producer when I went solo the beginning of last year. So because I want a band,
Right.
eventually, inshallah, I want a band. And the drummer is the most important person on the floor.
I feel that
It's
way.
not the
man.
lead vocalist. It's
That's interesting.
The drummer.
So like in the creative process, tertiary.
Yes.
But in the performance aspect, you need him there.
100%.
He's the foundation.
If you look at like really young bands or like, look at the drummer. I guarantee you he's 3 times as old as the lead singer.
Yeah.
I guarantee
He's normally
you.
musically, I feel like the drummer is the most gifted individual, then it's guitarist. And I feel like the bassist gets lost in the mix. You just need a bassist.
There's a joke. There's a joke with bands that the bassist just goes
Yeah, man.
B,
That's what friggin'
B, A.
Keanu Reeves, the bassist in his band.
But yeah, Taboo. I
Awesome,
was really blessed to find him because he's an unbelievable producer, but also an unbelievable drummer. He's been drumming since he was like 7 or something.
Jeez.
It's amazing.
So
That's super cool.
yeah, but that's right. On stage, the drummer's number one,
Yeah.
especially if you're rapping
Yeah.
because they keep all the tempo.
You guys put on a good show. Like
Thank
high
you.
energy. Like that was fun. That was a blast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad. It was, for instance, the song we played with Isam, My World. You listen to that on the record and it's good. I love it. But it's nowhere near as good as when you hear it live.
Right.
And that I think is why I don't necessarily consider myself like a hip hop rapper.
Yeah.
Because most of the time
Because you're like, wait until you see this live.
because
Right.
I build it for the live show.
Right.
A lot of everything I do, I'm thinking about the emotion and the message and how do I evoke that.
Right.
One of my metrics is like, how do I make people cry?
I like you have a metric.
Wait,
like
wait,
it might
wait,
keep
wait.
you into.
Yeah.
Okay, have you first? All right, first question here is this: I understand the metric. A lot of people.
Like 7. I got 7 tonight. You know.
I understand metric for different things, but first of all, have you cried listening to music live, like live music, or when was the last time you cried while listening to live music?
I want him to say every night, bro.
Every
night it moves
single
me.
night.
Every night it moves me.
Every night, 11:30 p.m. I'm bawling. No, live music.
Well,
Okay.
I guess
Yeah,
I can broaden it. When was the last time you listened to music that moved you to tears?
I think it's an interesting answer if I think I go to live music.
Okay, go.
If I see artists that I really respect, like I saw J. Cole live when Born Sinner dropped,
Oh,
when I was finishing up at Western,
Yeah.
and he played in London, and there was a part in the show where he was doing Land of the Snakes, and at the end of that song, it's kind of introspective. He's talking about seeing a girl that he like mistreated in the past, and how even though he's famous now, she doesn't care.
yeah.
And then he on the stage, he like says the last line of the song and then turns around, and because it's a small venue, he's not even in the mic, and you can see him say the last line again and just like shake his head. And I'm like, yeah, a lot of that's practice.
Right.
It's performing. But for some reason I could tell, I'm like, he's talking to himself on the stage. And it's interesting because I've been following him since he only had All I Want Is You with Miguel out, and he had Lights Please, the first original version.
Yeah.
And if you look at his progress to now, now I know for a fact he was saying that to himself on the stage. Like he was checking himself.
Right.
And that almost, it choked me up. I didn't cry, but I was like, I know what this guy's doing because it's what I want to, inshallah, hopefully do.
Right.
Is be impacted by the music and the fact that people are impacted by the lyrics.
Right.
But you write stuff into your music all the time when you write that way to remind yourself of things. Or when you go to places emotionally and you're trying to figure it out and you write in what you did wrong. And then what's crazy is when you do that song later and later, and when you think you've got past it, sometimes it still chokes you up.
Yeah, it's a constant reminder. Yeah.
So when I saw that, that made me emotional for sure. I saw John Mayer and Alicia Keys live.
Oh, wow.
Which was
that in New York or
amazing.
here?
London, man. Yeah. London's got a huge music history. So every big artist you'll notice, they go through like London, Hamilton, and Toronto, obviously, and like Montreal. It's because Hamilton and London have a huge history for music. But
Alicia Keys and John Mayer. I mean, just the sound. Like
right?
I got very close to that when I was listening to Covered in Rain, the live Covered in Rain.
Yeah.
But continue. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. The other thing I think that happens to me when I get choked up, I don't think I've ever cried at a live show.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's why I want to go to a Coldplay show because I heard.
Oh, they're amazing. I went to one last
unbelievable.
year, possibly the best concert I've ever been to in my life.
Yeah, and I haven't been able to get to one yet.
I'm not even that big of a Coldplay fan. Like, there's so much Coldplay. You're going to like Coldplay.
You're bound to like one of them.
But being at the show, I was like, oh, this is the best show I've ever been to of any
Really?
I
sort
heard
ever.
they put a lot of work into this.
Yeah, I'm like, how did they break even? This seems expensive. While I was there, I was like,
Just starting doing the quick maths.
dude, it's a psychedelic experience.
Really?
They have
It's
these
crazy.
cool light bracelets.
That match what's going
Oh,
on. in the song.
it's they don't overuse it. They don't like have it on every single song, but sometimes you're just like a sea anemone, like under the sky, just like everything's moving in a specific way, and
It's
they have a
really cool,
Muhammad Ali quote up, and you're like, yeah, I don't know what's happening, but it makes you feel things.
Are you saying
Yeah.
that's your pick? That's
I
where
don't
you got
cry.
you close. You got
I
close.
don't-
You don't cry.
I have a friend who
Okay.
actually took her mom to the Coldplay show.
Yeah.
And her mom didn't listen
Oh, yeah,
to
I'd
Coldplay.
love to
and,
take my
and
parents
she
to Coldplay.
bawled. Her mom bawled through the whole show.
Wow.
Is she
just told me.
okay?
Yeah.
What's wrong with her?
Sometimes
just
it's
life.
just,
No, I'm
sometimes
kidding.
it's just like overwhelming. It's really
Dance
good.
with the Devil was once where I'm like,
Oh,
why do I feel
snap.
choked
You
up
saw
at the
that
end of
live?
this song? No, I just
okay.
the
Dude, if
first
I saw
song.
I think that's everybody.
Yeah. Dance with the Devil that's a little too much.
It's a little
When
dark.
that's Brother Ali had a song called Fahim. It's
a good
about
song.
It's about his son.
Yeah, it's a good
about
song.
like back in the like what happened between you and my mom, and then growing up and all this other stuff. Oh, it gets me there. That one. He's got another one called Baby Grow where he's talking to.
It's a great song. Those are probably two of some of his
He's
best.
talking to someone who like a sexual assault survivor, and
We're talking about real stuff.
and how he's here trying to help her, but he doesn't know specifically how it is, but I'm here. I'm whatever. So those two got me. As far as like live goes, I did it by proxy. Okay, so this is let me explain this.
Please explain.
So I absolutely love a group called Odessa,
Okay.
and they're from Seattle.
What
They're-
kind of music is it? Okay, never
I
mind.
don't
I'm
know, like-
sorry. I'm so sorry. I interrupted.
It's 2019. Don't put people in
Yeah, I know.
boxes.
Yeah,
It's like-
no labels.
Okay, think of a GoPro video,
Okay.
kind of like that type of music. They've been featured on GoPro a couple of times.
Okay,
but
so
their albums
quick.
are really, really, really nice. It's
Okay.
really, really good. And I watched someone recorded one of their intros to their concert, and it was so overwhelming because it starts with a quote of someone telling a story about a Russian cosmonaut that is in space. It's probably a quote from the movie, but is in space, and there's like this constant knocking sound, and he's in space.
Yeah.
And like slowly he can feel that this sound is going to eventually cause him to go crazy. And then for him to maintain his sanity, he decides that the only way that he can deal with the situation is for him to fall in love with the sound. And then that goes into the intro. And the intro's fantastic.
Oh my God.
So when I was
How
watching
long
it, I
was
think I
this
was just
intro?
like, I was just like, my eyes were like getting watered. I was like, and it just like rode the wave. It's so good.
That
So-
to me is like the peak of creativity.
Yeah. And
That's
then
amazing.
And then from that, I mean, I might travel to the United States. I want to see them live. I think they're
would be
I
You
think they're
get there, you
fantastic.
hate him. You just hate. You're like,
This
this,
singer
is not
can't
what I
sing.
expected. This guy, really? This guy's gonna make me cry?
That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
That sounds
It really
amazing.
Yeah, it's
sounds
really
amazing.
good.
I think it's I get happy if somebody else can get moved by music that much. Then mashallah, like that's awesome.
Yeah.
I have a hard time getting like that. Like a movie, I will allow it to scare me or move me, but I feel like sometimes when it comes to music, I'm not. As soon as I feel like I might even kind of cry, I'm like, I am stopping this emotion
stop-
right
yeah.
here. I'm not crying right now.
So you haven't watched Lion yet, have you?
I haven't seen Lion for that reason.
I haven't even watched it yet.
Yeah,
Guys.
I've been told you need energy to watch it. Like,
No, you don't
to
need
be
you don't-
emotionally ready.
No, you don't need that much energy.
Okay, cool.
No. All right. So like you know, Requiem for a Dream
Right.
requires a trip. You've seen the movie Requiem for a
Yeah.
Dream? Okay, that requires a tremendous amount of energy.
Yeah.
You don't need nearly that
Okay,
much to watch
okay,
Lion.
that's a good measurement. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that.
Yeah, but if I knew what I was getting myself into with Requiem of a Dream, I wouldn't have done it. If it was like, hey, you're gonna see a guy take it up the ass. Are you up for this today? Is this a good sick day? No.
No,
No.
I think I'm gonna go to work.
Yeah, but like anyone who recommends Requiem for a Dream to
Is a
someone
messed
else,
up human being.
No.
Yeah, yeah. What? It's a great movie, but whoever recommends it to you is a special type of individual that you should watch out for.
I feel like I'm that guy. I'm definitely that guy.
I think you're
because like when the first time that I watched Old Boy, and I finished watching Old Boy,
Right, great movie.
I was like, that was crazy. And there's only maybe 3 people I know that I can say to go watch this
Right.
movie.
It's a hard one to recommend. They're
Yeah.
like, hey, do you want to watch this movie or get your reality shattered? They're both on the table for you.
take your
Yes,
pick.
Yeah.
fantastic.
Make you question everything.
Yeah, Lion takes half that energy, so don't even worry about it. It's
I
easy.
feel like I would start seeing myself in the brown child or something.
Oh, you definitely would.
No.
That's why it's,
I don't want to do that.
that means it's working. I guess the other time I might choke up at a show is actually I like every show. I get overwhelmed because I know that I know that that's where I want to be. And as I get more and more as I get more experienced,
Right.
I can look at it and be like, oh, I know how they did that. I want to do that.
Right.
And then you can't always just go do it
Yeah.
because it
There's
takes
steps.
resources or there's
Yeah.
steps. And I've always been one to be like, oh, if this is what you want to do, wake up, start doing it. Right?
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it if you have to, but you
Right.
do it. And then music's really taught me that just because you want something
Yeah.
it doesn't mean, or just because you know what it should sound like, or you know how good you can be, doesn't mean you're that good at that moment.
Right.
And there's no shortcuts. You have to go through every step. So I get overwhelmed because I'm like, I get anxious and frustrated,
Yeah.
but I'm also like so happy to be seeing it
Right.
and being like, oh, it's right there, it's possible.
Right.
And then that chokes me up at like every live show. Right.
Do you sometimes find it hard to almost enjoy
Yeah.
what you're watching because you're also like
Yeah, 100%.
analyzing it so deeply
Yep.
where you like people would see you like, are you okay? And you're just like,
Yeah, I go
listening to
dead
it.
quiet.
Yeah,
I
you
just stare.
blank
Sometimes
face.
it's weird. It's weird watching stand-up comedy with him sometimes.
Yeah, because I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh, he's doing this over here.
And you're like, and sometimes somebody told me, go listen to Kendrick. Well, not somebody, like 50 people. You love Kendrick, go listen to him.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, okay, cool. And then I had heard him before he really blew up. One of my friends was following him for a long time. Was like, oh, you like this track? And it was, oh my God, what's it called? That first one that blew up. The drummer in the street.
Hold on. I'll bring it up.
Keep going.
I crack an egg in the bed. I crack an
It's
egg
from
in the
Bad
bed.
Kid, Mad. It's got to be
City.
good. Bad City, right? Good Kid.
I
Mad
believe
City?
it was still on that. I don't think it was just a single. He's like, I crack an egg in your basket, you bastard. I don't know the lyrics, but
That's all right.
Okay, so
but
can you?
the track was. I listened to that track,
Yeah.
and I was like, I can't listen to this guy anymore
Yeah.
Why?
because
Because it made you feel lazy because you weren't doing it, or
partially,
yeah.
not necessarily. Yeah, maybe at that time lazy, but I study lyricists, so like I studied Lupe for a long time.
Right.
I used to write like a lot like Lupe at one point. And then so I analyzed them which is why I love John Mayer. I analyze the way he writes because he's more accessible than Lupe. But I would say their creativity and their metaphors could be paralleled, at least in some of the metaphors John Mayer brings in. You're like,
oh, they're amazing.
like, how did you get
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
And that's what scares me. So I listened to John Mayer and I had to stop for a while because if I can't figure out as a writer how he got to that step next, because there's a logic to everything.
Right.
When you're talking about a lyricist, there's a logic behind what they're doing. Sometimes you don't understand it because their head is their own mind, like their mind is their own mind, so you can't track what's going on in their mind.
Right.
But usually when it comes out in writing, I can kind of see it and be like,
You can see the code
okay, that's
behind
why
it.
you that's why you went there. And if I can see myself doing that, then I'm like, okay, cool.
Right.
Yeah.
But when they're that good and I'm like, how? How did you, like, why? How? And I'm completely baffled. And then I also am like busy or I don't have the time to sit there and just dig into it.
Yeah.
I just don't listen to them. So to this day, I have not listened to any project from Kendrick from start to finish.
Wow.
Because it intimidates me.
Oh, that's really cool.
Straight up, it intimidates me. Who else? Passenger
Passenger.
intimidates me. You know, Let Her Go.
No, I don't know.
I'm sorry, man.
I'm sorry.
I'd love to agree with you for the
Yeah.
sake of like, yeah, but I'm so sorry.
He did. How does it go? I don't even remember the melody now.
That's all right.
But
These are naked smoothies.
Not that.
Naked Smoothies. But I'm sure you'll know the song if you heard it. It was a huge track from him. But he like story tells, and it's unbelievable. And I'm like, nope, no idea how you got that.
Yeah.
And so for a while, I just stopped listening
When you're
to
missing home,
this track. Yeah.
only know you love her when
Oh, this
you
was
let
a
her
yeah. This was
Yeah.
a great track. This shit will make you cry.
Yeah.
go, and you let her go.
That's
So, like-
all I can play.
He made a dope. That was a great
Yeah.
like single.
Right.
But if you listen to his other stuff, way better. And it's like how the poetry is unbelievable, and the fact that he can put it to music and on the guitar playing that he's doing is like. So I get intimidated by people like this because I'm like, I want to be that good, but I know I'm not.
Okay, but
I
here's the
study it, and I'm like, oh, I can't figure it out.
You got the look though.
I
You got
stay
all
with-
the scarves and the headgear. I will say.
Fake it till you make it, right?
I'm like, that guy looks like an artist.
without a doubt, 100%. But like, wouldn't you going in and studying a little bit be able to like open up new neural pathways in your brain where you can
100%,
start making those connections yourself,
100%.
right?
And
As
I
opposed
do
to avoiding it.
I do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I avoid it.
Yeah.
At that time, I'm like I'll tell my buddy Darian, who's been doing music with
Great
me
name.
for forever. He was like, he actually kept me doing music. He heard pop culture
Yeah.
and didn't believe it was me.
Oh.
And then he was
rude.
like, I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna keep making tracks though. And he was like, you have to keep making tracks. So he actually kept me in music. He went to Germany with me when I went to meet
That's
Sam
awesome,
and stuff
man.
and went on tour.
Yeah.
He actually flew there, paid his own way.
Dang.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Look at this guy. He's like, it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
It's good to have those people, man.
Exactly. But like he pushed Kendrick to me and he's like, oh, listen to this project, listen to this. And I'll listen to the track that he sends me. But he knows why I don't listen to it either. But at that time, I'm not in a place to listen to it and study it. I might be writing.
Yeah.
And sometimes, at least for me, and I know for a lot of writers, what you're listening to, you start to write like, you start to write your flows like that.
100%.
Right.
So I have to like isolate myself completely.
Yeah.
Because I'm really big on developing my own sound too. So
Makes perfect sense.
you gotta isolate yourself.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm in a time like that
Yeah.
where I'm writing and I'm like, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Or I'm writing and I'm frustrated with my writing, and hearing Kendrick at that time is just gonna piss me off because
Yeah.
like I'm frustrated and this guy's putting out like 600 bars off the top and it's like straight fire. So I don't think I avoid it.
I get what you're saying
It's just
now.
it's
Yeah,
not time for. I used to think I did, and I would tell myself the same thing. I'd be like, no, force yourself to listen to it and get better. Right? I played a lot of sports, so it's like if you could keep losing to one team,
Yeah.
you don't shy away when that game comes.
Right.
You play harder every single time.
Yeah.
If you're on a good team,
Yeah.
right? If you're
Individual
competitive.
sports are different, man. You ever do any individual
That's true.
sports where like one guy just owns
really.
you and you can do every effing thing?
I'm really big on team. I've never actually. I don't think I've ever played it.
Yeah.
Not to an organized level.
Probably.
It's
any
fun.
level.
What have you played, just for the sake of?
I played baseball like my
Baseball,
entire
I heard.
life.
Really?
Yeah.
This guy can dunk.
but baseball.
This guy's brown. He's my height. He can dunk. That's crazy.
Dude, you've been saying that since we started this podcast.
That's not. Listen, there's only like X amount of brown guys that can dunk.
Okay.
I can't dunk now. Let's not get it. Don't
You
get
can still
twisted.
dunk?
No, I can't dunk.
Of course
now.
not.
There's
No,
way.
it's hard to maintain
No.
dunking for a brown guy, dude.
Yeah.
It's special.
Okay.
Like you're
And I wasn't-
lowballing.
and I wasn't, like,
lowballing.
You don't know anybody that can dunk. How many brown guys you think you know that could dunk? Go ahead.
I don't think I know anyone that can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why
I wasn't like throwing it down either.
Still, but you were getting it.
I
You
get
were
it out,
dunking,
yeah.
right? You weren't like
I went
layup
for like a year.
What was the level of street cred you got?
I never. That's the thing. I never
It still
actually
carries.
really-
Is how much street cred you got back then.
I never really played basketball, like organized.
You
or
just had
anything.
like
I
a
just played-
shtick of dunking and then walking away. Like,
You just come on the court, dunk, and then be like,
I'm out.
yeah, don't even know how to play.
No, I was actually working at the Y at the time,
That'll do it.
and I was working the basketball shift. So
right.
they needed another guy.
Man.
And you always play because you're just in the gym.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can play basketball, but I didn't
Right.
play like I played baseball. Like that was
your
every
thing.
single weekend from when I was like, I don't even remember. I might've been like 12.
wow.
Yeah.
And I started when I was like 6
In like
until I
private,
was like 18. And my older brother played, and we both played for like really good teams. So
Wow.
Team Ontario, I think he might have played Team Canada.
That's crazy.
I went to the tryouts for Team Canada. There was some racist stuff that happened there,
Yeah.
but
Of course. I just assumed there would. I don't know
yeah.
why. I'm like, yeah.
Makes sense.
but
Move
like we played to a high level. I was every summer, every weekend, one of us was in the U.S. playing.
Wow.
So I don't know how my parents did it. Like subhanallah.
Yeah.
They,
amazing.
It's amazing that they thought it was
Unbelievable.
important enough to like
yeah.
sacrifice.
And
Especially brown parents.
Yeah, for baseball,
Right.
of all things. Right?
yeah.
Like,
And I mean, I don't know. My mom's from Trinidad and my dad's from Guyana.
Okay.
So they're not like brown parents,
Right.
But they are.
Yeah,
my
yeah,
mom
of
also came here and went to Western for university. So
Okay,
brownest
okay.
thing
it's
ever.
different.
No.
My dad's a convert, which
Okay.
is cool. Yeah. So it's different.
Right.
You can't box it in the same way.
Yeah.
But yeah, we played baseball forever. Every weekend it would be like Florida. One weekend you get like 6 days, Michigan, Pennsylvania,
How old
New
were you?
York. But when we were traveling like that,
Yeah.
between I don't even know, maybe 13, 14 to like 18.
That's crazy.
Traveling like that.
18, playing baseball in the States.
And then you're playing 2 games a week in your season.
Mm-hmm.
So you're playing like 1 to 2 games a week. You're practicing like 4 or 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
As we got a little bit older, you're in the gym. So sometimes I'd be in the gym in the morning before I went to school. And then I go to school. and
At
then I have
that age,
practice
would you
afterward.
be
It was
able to?
crazy.
Would you be able to tell if someone's doing steroids?
Yeah.
Okay. Because
But at that age, nobody really does them.
I was playing just like very competitive tennis, like semi-professional tennis, and I can tell that some of these people's body was completely changing before my eyes. Like they were hulking out while playing
For
tennis.
tennis, though.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm
tennis
not saying that
is
you wouldn't
physically
require.
strength.
Yeah, you wouldn't
Anything
require
that
it. It's
gives
just
you an
that-
edge, and
yeah.
like I went to a
Forearms
very.
are just like exploding.
Oh yeah. It's the
No bicep.
It's
Straight
the
forward.
veins. It's the veins that just make it look like wow, like what's happening. It'll just be like an octopus and then a t-shirt. So you're like, what's happening up this octopus?
Where's this going?
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting because I did my degree in kinesiology,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been around sports my time. My brother's a doctor of chiropractic.
Cool.
Like we've been in sports and physio world
Yeah.
our whole lives. And one of the things I learned when I was doing like nutrition and supplements and studying that stuff, one thing I noticed actually just in the gym
Mm-hmm.
is you can tell if someone's roided out if they're not flexing,
Yeah.
but their veins are popping.
Yeah.
Right? They look like rubber. Like they actually like we worked
They
on
look
a
like a
guy.
hose.
He's a bodybuilder,
Right.
And he was taking some sort of steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were doing like we were in class doing some of the physio techniques or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy feels like rubber. It doesn't feel real.
Did you tell him?
So you can.
Why you feel like rubber, man? I touch a lot of people. You feel like rubber.
But he knows he's doing it. He's
knows
doing
he's
it within the
doing it.
legal whatever because
Right.
he's a bodybuilder. But when you're 14, like nobody's really taking it. You guys
that's
know?
true.
You guys follow the Blue Jays at all?
Yeah.
Brett Lowry.
Yeah.
So he played in a couple tournaments. He's born 92 or 91 or something. He played in a couple tournaments that I was in.
Oh wow.
And but Americans,
yeah.
when it comes to sports,
Yeah,
it's
that's
just different.
a whole different.
They don't even have to be
friggin'
on
level.
roids. It's like the milk has
Really?
steroids in it. Like these guys, we went to a tournament at Cooperstown, so where the Baseball Hall of Fame is.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Huge tournament. There's 64 teams from North America. We're like the only Canadian team. There was a team from Pennsylvania, Beaver Valley Red. That was their name. Beaver Valley, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
They had one. We were 12, maybe 13. They had one kid, from if I remember correctly, 1 or 2 kids
With a beard.
under 5'10"
Yeah.
Jeez.
at 12 and 13 years old. They had like 4 guys that were like 6'1", 6'3".
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. One of the kids on their team broke his arm early in the tournament.
Right. And
So in the
grew
championship,
another one. Just grew another one out of his ribs. He couldn't get
right
right
up.
Cut the other one
just
up.
kept
We're
playing.
good.
But he in the last game, he did like the opening. He did like an opening hit. So somebody pitched it to him,
Right.
and he went up to the plate. His back arm's in a cast.
Yeah.
The guy throws it in, and he hit a home run.
With
I was
one
like,
hand?
my baseball
Yo.
career is over. I can't hit a home run with 2 arms. This guy hit it over the fence with 1 arm.
That's so
I
funny.
watched, and then in that game, I watched one of the kids walking up to home plate,
Yeah.
and the guy on deck goes, he's like, I'll give you something. I'll give you whatever if you hit a home run. Let's say he said $20. I'll give you $20 if you hit a home run.
Yeah.
And I remember this kid saying, give me 50 and I'll hit the scoreboard. And I was like,
Man.
we're just like, because we're standing right on the fence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this kid goes up to the plate, leaves the bat on his shoulder for the first pitch.
Yeah.
It sounds like a movie. I swear to God, I witnessed this. He puts
man.
the bat on his shoulder, lets the first pitch go by,
Yeah.
and then the pitcher is winding up.
Yeah.
He gets loaded, hits the 0 on the scoreboard. I'm like,
Man.
it's over.
Yeah.
It's completely over. There's teams
Wow.
at like 13 years old sponsored by Nike.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
They'd made like 3 errors in like 60 something games.
Dang.
It's like, this is ridiculous. So when you go to the US, some of those kids might be on steroids.
Dude, I went to a...
When
we
I
had-
played, not really.
There was a school in my district called Katie Taylor, and their tennis team had been the district champions for 64 years. And I have no idea why.
Roids.
Because
Roids.
this is a school of maybe 1,500. My school was over 4,000. Like, so you would think the bigger school...
We gotta have 2 that are gonna win.
Dude, we played this school
It's like
once,
India on a soccer team.
and I made me and my buddy, we were doubles. We made 4 points, and that was one of the most points anybody's made against them. And that was a whole
4.
game. And I had no idea. They were all taller. They were all just like these farm kids.
Yeah.
They were just, I don't know doing what, just throwing
Did-
hay,
did they
bales
have,
of
like-
hay up.
Did they have
and
2
drinking
rackets
milk.
each?
Dude, it's weird. It's just
They're all
interesting.
ambidextrous. They're
It's a
all-
different stock. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't
And
know
you can
how
see
they
it.
breed you here, but
You can see it. Like,
Yeah, it's-
that's why, I mean, there was some stuff that happened in baseball too, where I was just with the coaching and stuff, where I was frustrated. So out of high school, going into university, I actually stopped playing baseball. And I started playing football in grade 9.
Football.
Yeah. So I was playing football at
position?
Turner Fenton. I played quarterback and wide receiver.
Quarterback. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, the baseball.
It
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
And I
that
play
thing.
center field in baseball. So
Yeah.
it made
like
sense.
quarterback?
Yeah.
Are you a little small for a
I
quarterback?
was, but I had a coach who played in the CFL, and so I didn't know much about football, like playing wise.
Right.
Um,
You could just dunk.
I could throw, I could run, and I
That's how
could
you
jump.
dunk. They're
No,
like, what
this
about
is like
quarterback?
this is like grade 9. I couldn't do any of that, but he taught me how to like read between the linemen. So it's tougher, but you see the receiver, and then you read between the linemen, and when you practice more with those receivers, you learn where to put the ball.
Right.
There's also a lot of rollouts and running.
Yeah.
It's high school too. So
Omer played
people
football
switch.
growing up in
Yeah,
Texas.
he told me
Just
that.
crazy.
Yeah,
But yeah.
So I played football from grade 9 through into like first year university.
Yeah.
And I tried out for Western. I made like the second team or like the
pretty
workout
impressive.
team or whatever. They were like, we're not going to take you, but
We'll work out with you.
you can come and you can train with us and see what happens next year. And then that's when I was like, at that time I was trying to go to med school. It's like, I'm not going to, I don't really actually want to play football.
Right.
Like Western's crazy for football. I don't know if you guys know that. Like,
Weren't they
Sponsored
all
by
banned?
Under Armour.
Weren't they all banned
Wow.
for a year because
Like crazy.
of steroids? Like the whole school?
yeah, there was something like that. At that point, I was in like third year. I wasn't really paying attention, but something like that.
They lost a season due to steroids, which is really funny.
Yeah, we were training with guys, and I'm like, yep,
Yeah.
you're roided.
Yo, man.
Yep.
I was at a
Talented, but like you're on roids.
I was at the gym
Yeah.
once at Extreme Couture, and there was a guy in the sauna with a needle in his butt, and he couldn't get it, and then he asked his buddy to come in and put the needle in his butt. And I just thought, I'm like, that is dedication.
Now, to be fair,
Yeah.
could be insulin.
No. He wasn't.
Okay.
This is steroids.
All right.
You don't put.
I mean, you don't do insulin in a sauna.
To also be fair,
yeah.
people use insulin as a supplement. To
Oh,
boost.
really?
Yeah.
We used to use this makeup remover you would rub on yourself, and it would make you sweat a ton. So you can cut a lot of weight, and then go wrestle somebody and just like manhandle them.
For wrestling, yeah. Like
Yo,
running
yeah.
with garbage bags on and
Dude, I would.
that was crazy.
I
never
would
got into
lose
wrestling.
15 pounds, and then the day of, I would gain it all back, and I would pick up some poor soul who didn't do this because they didn't rub makeup remover all over their butt. And I would like to make a statement by like, because I know I don't have a lot of gas.
Now you have
So I would just
cancer.
like just try to grab them like, "Ah!" and like smash them.
You got to get him in the first minute.
yeah,
It's
I'm like, I
over.
need these all to be 30 seconds or I'm cramping. So it was yeah.
I have no electrolytes.
Yeah.
I've got nothing.
But you learn. This is what I like. I like team sports because they're more fun. I enjoy playing them. But like you learn so much about yourself in an individual sport, like where your breaking point is. Because like,
100%.
or where like when you break somebody, you feel it. Like I broke this person's will. Like even in tennis, I'm like, this game is over. I know the score doesn't say it, but this guy gave up like a minute and a half ago.
Yeah. And I cherish my experience with sports. Like I absolutely cherish it because now even with music, it makes a huge difference on how I build a team and how we rehearse. Like when you're playing at the level, at least I was playing baseball at, you're fighting for mastery.
Right.
You're not like go out there because you can hit well and go hit. It's like,
You're all
you can
talented.
hit well. Come here, let's train you. So you can hit well all the time.
right.
Because just because you hit a couple bombs, if you don't play baseball, they're home runs. Just because you hit a couple bombs in like 3 games back to back to back. In baseball, it's so mentally taxing
Right.
that the next game you could go 0 for 4 at the plate, and you could stay like that for the rest of the season.
Right.
Oh wow.
So you're training a lot of mastery, and in that, I got to train with some like ex Blue Jay players, like
That's amazing, man.
high like just different athletes and stuff, like sprint trainers, and you learn about the process that goes into like mastery and getting to that point and what it means to get your fundamentals down so that you're not thinking about. And then I took that right into music.
Right. The same discipline.
And a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I've worked with people before who they don't, like, we're not on the same page with that process of practice
yeah.
and training.
Right.
with regards to
training.
the pursuit of mastery, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That they're not on the same page of like your intensity of like this is good, but
Yes.
there's so much more that needs to be
Yes.
done for us to get
and
there.
like understanding the phases of it. So if you've just created a song and it was all in the computer,
Yeah.
like it was all digital. So you never actually played that. You played the guitar maybe, but then we bring a drummer in and they got to learn the drums and whatever. For me, it's like we have a show in 2 weeks. Let's learn the tracks. Constantly analyzing or assessing where you are in your training. So are we good enough yet to move on to the next track? Do we have enough time left to do that extra song we wanted? And then assessing where you are with let's say there's 4 tracks you're going to do for sure. There's a 5th one that you're like, might perform this one because it would be fun. It'd be good opportunity. But like these 4 have to be down. And then what does them being down even mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what's the metric that you have to hit? What does it have to sound like? What is that thing that makes you go, okay, that one's good. Forget about that one. Move on to the next one.
Right.
And then how do you get that one to that level? And then every song is different.
It's
So-
interesting that it's the idea of playing sports in front of and performing sports, you can take that and carry it over to music itself. And that's something not everybody understands is that like when it comes to any sport, the amount of background work that goes into it, that grind, you can take that and translate to a lot of things. What I find interesting is when I know somebody's played a lot of basketball, I'm like, this person's probably can argue and keep their head on their shoulders. Like they've been in aggressive situations where they feel one way, somebody else, but they've been able to like probably calmly figure out things. And that's something that I've seen from multiple sports. Like people that have played heavy sports are like pretty good at diffusing situations.
that makes sense. I mean, for me too, a lot of it is something I'm now, like I always knew that training was important to me. And like a lot of artists, I'm a perfectionist.
Right.
But getting to the point where, okay, I know how to get the fundamentals down. I'm at that point now where I know when I'm like me and Taboo are rehearsing a track for the show. Yeah. We know like, okay, that one's good. And he's also seasoned, right? So we're both like, okay, that one's good. Move on to the next one. What I'm learning now in the last year, like I just did the most shows in my whole career, like last year.
That's awesome.
But what I'm learning now is also from sports, how to get to the next one and like how to get over losing, like quote unquote, losing that show. Like you lost the game, right?
Yeah.
So like you got there. So losing at a show, like playing baseball, losing would be you don't have the highest score at the end of the game.
Right.
And in most sports, you don't have the highest score, you lose.
Yeah.
But when I watch sports, for instance, sometimes it's like, yeah, the Raptors didn't lose that game.
Right.
And it's hard to have that conversation with people because it's with like anybody who just watches basketball or just watches, because it's a different kind of conversation.
Right.
It's like they dominated 3 quarters and 8 minutes and they let it go in the last 4 minutes. Technically they lost the game,
Yeah.
but they didn't lose that game. They didn't execute a few things.
Right.
Because in their mind, if they go in disregarding the 3 quarters they played really well and dominated, you can't actually get to the next game and improve because you did something right in the first 3 quarters. So to just say, "Oh, we lost the game, got to win the next one," that doesn't actually work to progress to the next game or the next show now, because it's like
That's not a
you
progression.
have to see, okay, what did you do right? Why was that dominant against that team?
Right.
And then what changed? Like you have to know the good and the bad, right? So with shows, it's interesting because now I'm seeing, okay, that was a great show. I'm playing for the first time with like Taboo and another guitarist, Andrew, who's part of a band called Twin Rova. And these guys are like, he played with Isam that night.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So like they rehearsed the night before
Yeah.
and then did that show. It's like,
Dude, that was
if
amazing.
you were there,
Oh, that was great.
These guys are talented,
Yeah.
right? So when we could do a show and it goes as planned, before it used to be like, oh, I messed with those lyrics and that was the biggest deal. And now I don't even care. Now it's about like, did we hit that drop hard enough? Did that intro come in correctly? Did I hit the emotion in that one part the way I wanted to, like as planned? Was the whole thing together? Did it seem like one piece? Like, was there kind of like a storyline? Was there a dope intro?
And you can tell there's like a big emphasis on your performance. Like you look at it as a
Exactly.
performance from start to finish.
Exactly. So then now I'm realizing from like what I got from sports is, it's like I call it game film. I try to film all my shows and then you go back and you watch it
Right.
and you just you pick it apart,
Right.
and then you get to the next show. But it's a balance of that you have to strike of like, which I didn't do before, of not just writing it off as a good show or a bad show.
Right. Yeah. Pick out your smaller wins, your small like
Exactly.
smaller milestones within the show. Like,
Exactly, yeah,
put
yeah.
that in the bank. Feel good about it. Identify the things that you need
Which
to work
is
on.
super important.
Do like iterative betterment.
And then
Yeah.
iterative process.
Yeah.
That was a great point you said, like, feel good about it.
Mm-hmm.
The team I was with before, and like we were very like get better, but we never really stopped to really enjoy the successes. Through like get the next one.
Right.
And now I'm realizing like I think about death a lot. Don't take that the wrong way. I'm just like,
Well, I don't know how else to take it.
no, but like a lot of people are like, oh, what's wrong with you? Like genuinely.
Well,
I mean, but
genuinely.
yeah,
But
that's an important
for me,
thing to
it's
think
like
of.
if
I
I'm
agree.
Yeah, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's always my analogy. Anybody that hangs out with me a lot is gonna be like, oh God, he's saying this again. If I could walk outside my door tomorrow
Yeah.
and get hit by a bus,
Just happens that the bus is running like full force.
full
down that thing.
speed,
Yeah.
right in front of my condo, smokes me. I could die. And then
You just make a sound and like he just killed you.
backy track. But then you didn't enjoy so like that's part of it too. You didn't enjoy what you did the day before. You didn't actually take that blessing that was given to you in that time,
Right.
that success that was given to you, that to just enjoy it and be happy about it. So that's part of it. The other part of it is just for longevity. It gets toxic. Like you can't be that down on yourself all the time.
Right.
Because as much as people are like, no, it's motivational, we're trying to get better.
It's that grind
It's
mentality,
still negative,
right?
though.
Then you
Exactly. It's and there's a lot of it in entrepreneurs, and there's a lot of it now of like, keep working, like every hour of the day should be spent on this.
sleep when you die.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, because you will die from not sleeping.
Right.
Your brain you don't function properly,
Yeah.
but the effectiveness of what you do in the time you're awake is what's important. Like I could write a song. I've written songs that are on this project that's coming out in 12 minutes. Like literally 12 minutes. I wrote the entire song and I did restructuring or whatever, but wrote the song. Then another one took me 4.5 years. So it's like, you could,
Now you gotta
Like-
get a little faster than 4 years. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, exactly. But like sometimes, like
I like that. That's like you're like, wait. This is what I have a problem with your story about self-realization and discipline.
But yeah, like I don't even know what I was getting at. If you we're talking about
Sorry, bro.
if you don't stop to just we're talking about
To
like, the
appreciate the
grind.
wins. Yeah,
we're
yeah.
talking about the grind. Like sometimes you can be like, it take me 12 minutes to write a song or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So really it's about the effectiveness.
Right.
And I try to create a lot of systems and processes about how did I write a song that made me feel this way? Because I also know that I have no issue with being on a record label in the future, inshallah. But that comes with a lot of pressures. And like, you got to put this track out by this time. So I try to create like processes that I'm like, okay, you need a track like this. I've done one like that before. I at least have a groundwork
right.
structure that even if I don't spend a lot of my don't put a lot of my heart and energy into it, I can fill in those blanks with like a template
Yeah.
and then work from there.
No,
You
you're
know what I
taking
mean?
it seriously.
But
man.
it's again being effective.
It definitely
in those
shows
times,
in
anyways.
the performance and the music. And I know right now you guys officially only have one track out. Is that right?
Yeah, well, right now it's just me, so I
Okay.
just go by Raz. I'm no longer with my old group or anything. I went
Gotcha.
completely solo.
Cool.
Yeah, I just put out that track "Chick Chick Bang" last August,
Check, bang.
which
Visuals are out right now on YouTube. Check that out.
Thank you. Yeah. The that track was crazy. That was supposed to be on the album.
Yeah.
The chorus I kept, and I rewrote the verses one night. We recorded it 3 days later. Sorry, we produced it, the track, the instrumental, 2 or 3 days later. I don't even remember now. But we recorded it the next weekend. I think in 9 days it was.
Jeez.
I wrote, recorded, produced, recorded, mixed and mastered, shot the video, and then by the end of that week we released it.
That's awesome, man.
And like alhamdulillah, it came out amazing. I was
Yeah,
like,
it
I was
looks
like,
professional.
oh shoot.
Yeah, I'm like, this is a video.
Yeah.
You seen this video?
yeah. Shout out to Ali Jalani.
Yeah, really?
Ali
Ali was
Jalani.
At Ali Photo Lover. Yeah,
Yeah.
he shot that video. He
He's a friend.
killed it. Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
homeboy.
He was
killed
supposed
it.
to come on.
Yeah.
We're waiting.
What a hater.
He's busy making
Oh,
videos.
just wrote a
man.
song with him
I just
for my
realized
next
he
project.
invited me for lunch this week.
Wow.
Look at you.
It's okay. He bails on me all the time. Don't worry about it.
I mean, yeah, he is quite. He's quite the.
He works
he's,
hard,
like
though.
super. Yeah,
He works
he's
hard.
traveling as well. Okay.
But yeah, that track came out. The album right now, it's called One Time for Your Mind.
One time for your mind, but currently not available.
Not available yet.
Currently not available. So you
That's
gotta
a whole
keep,
story in itself,
Okay.
but
That's
yeah.
for the people out there who want to keep an eye on you. Raz.co is it or
Razeem.co.
Razeem.co.
Razeem.
right? That's on Instagram.
on Instagram.
Yeah.
I kind of hub everything through Instagram.
Right. Yeah. So check out his link
yeah.
tree over there. You'll be able to see.
Yeah.
You also have your own podcast
I do,
Yeah.
which is also in the link tree
on
That's
Anchor.fm. What is
What's
it called?
Coffee with a Rapper.
Coffee with a
Coffee
Rapper.
with the rapper.
Yeah.
Who's a rapper? No, I'm kidding.
We'll bring on a couple people
I,
every once in a while. We get a real rapper.
All right, yeah. So check that out on Linktree. So that was Razeem.co, and then I'm sure you'll announce when the album is out.
Yeah, hopefully I
you
can
put
come
that
back
up there.
here and
yeah, man.
Hey, man.
We'd love
chat,
to blast
chat
it
with you
out.
guys about it.
Yeah,
That'd be dope.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
Thank you for hanging out, man.
No,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
man.
After this, I'll show you my scarf collection.
Yeah. Sayed, you can stay down here.
I'm gonna leave. I'm not gonna.
can just chill.
What am I gonna do? Just think about those guys are definitely
Hold
going
the
over
fort
this.
down. We're gonna go check out the
Yeah.
song.
You're just hearing like distant yells. Oh man,
You got linen?
Oh, that's an infinity scarf.
it goes on forever.
I have an infinity scarf.
Shit. All right, people. Thank you for listening.
This conversation is.
I'm like, I'm cool. I have infinity scarf. My wife bought it.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back in a week. We got a couple of cool things coming down the pipe. So stick with us. Take care of yourself. Stay warm. We love you all. Good night.